So the first session, which I'm going to hand over to Markus, is Markus is going to talk about the latest versions of M.App Enterprise and the and how it can be used for smart cities. And again, I'd like to thank Markus for joining us and for all the support Markus always gives us as a partner. We really appreciate it. So Markus, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Kieran. Also from my side, a warm welcome to this event today. Kieran already made a good introduction to M.App Enterprise, and thank you very much for all of the applause you gave to our products. As you hear in my language, I'm located in Vienna, Austria, so please bear with me if I sometimes use the wrong words, but I will do my best in talking English. So I was asked to talk about the new features in M.App Enterprise 2021, and I'm not really the fan in just providing a pure technology overview. I'm always trying to provide you a context and how the technology can be used in the different use environments. So for today, I really want to focus more on an example with insights for smart cities. And in this case, more focusing on the integration of IoT sensors and how they can be leveraged inside of our platform. As a reference, I want to start with a more extreme sample. As you can see on the screen, think about there's a flooding happening in a certain area. Of course, in this case, all the damage is visible within seconds. But governments today also struggle in identifying smaller issues as they will have in their area. For example, if it's a light bulb is not working, or it could be that somebody is opening up a cable duct without permissions of the government. In this case, we really need to start thinking about a more modern way, how to monitor the reality without sending out people all the time. So from our perspective, we can cover that up with our smart monitoring offering we do have in our portfolio. And for us, the smart monitoring is responsive. So every time something is happening, we inform our customers about that there is something ongoing. It's preventive. So for example, if somebody is opening up a cable duct and the car is driving through it, it could damage the car. So it's also preventing it. And now also preventing predictive, which means we can also use sensor information to predict if something will happen in the future. And all of that is done in the context of a smart city. You have to envision it that you have the different sensors available as your data source. It could be imagery taken by a plane. It could be information coming from a database or from a CCTV camera. So all of these different information sets are going to be included into our control unit. And you have to envision this control unit more or less as an instance of your of M.App Enterprise, enriched with some other technologies we provide out of the Hexagon family. Based on all the information we're getting from the sensors, but of course also the context more from an operational perspective, we are able to create analytics based on it. So as a result, everything you have seen as a data input and using analytics provides you a very smart monitoring solution for the different activities inside of your city. From our perspective, we want to make it as easy as possible for our customers in using the software. So we are leaving more and more the space of the GS specialists. So in the end, geographic information should be available for all the different people working inside of the organization. So as a result, we said, okay, in the end, I want to create a dashboard for my city where I can see the different aspects being covered just with some clicks and without any special GS knowledge. In this case, I'm focusing on just one topic, and it's about securing monitoring of telecommunications infrastructure. For the reason a city has so many topics, and I can't cover all of them within this 15 minutes of the presentation. We have a customer in the city of Hamburg, and they are using underground cables for the telecommunication between the different locations of the company. They are owned by the city of Hamburg, so for this reason, it's also something more from a government perspective. And here it's really important, as there's a lot of confidential information used in this fiber optic network, that we are going to be notified if there's an unauthorized opening of this cable duct. That's mainly to protect that nobody's going to create physical damage on it, but of course it could be also maybe used that somebody's installing hardware to also spy on the information running via this environment. A second item we have received from our customers, they want to plan and administrate the maintenance of the network. So for example, if they have to do an inspection or if something happening right now, so for example, an unauthorized opening, then they want to send out a workforce to the exact location and provide them a mobile application to also receive more information. As you can see, the same pattern can be used on the different other items. So for example, think on all the buildings of a city, owned by a city. So in the end, with a sensor, you would be able to trace if there is an unauthorized opening to it, or you can also identify if there are uncommon patterns. So in the normal case, let's say a governmental building will not be opened up at 2 a.m. In the center of the night. And of course, there's also a benefit if you have this not just this pure data approach, so the information coming in from the sensor. By using this also in the context of a map, you can also generate a lot more insights on what's going on, or if there are other patterns you do not know. So one item is, by the integration of sensors, we can identify anomalies. For example, a light bulb is flickering, and I get this information back from a sensor. The georeference is a bigger area affected, or is it's something just happening on a single spot. And then I can also enrich it with the data fusion to combine it, for example, with weather information or statistical information, which are normally not linked to this information coming from the sensor. And of course, last but not least, instead of just showing these data streams coming in from the sensors, I have a lot of possibility in doing a visualization on a map, on a mobile phone, or any other device you want to use. This was a lot of theoretical stuff, but let's take a look on how this can really look. And for this, we have created a demonstration. So that's the starting page of M.App Enterprise. And you already see a new feature coming up with the next release, and that's the dark theme. So to make it much more easy to use our software of our customers, they can now switch, for example, to a more dark theme to make it more easier to use during the day. What you see here is now we have this dashboard, and we have just received an alert from a sensor that there's a cable duct opening. So now we're going to the target section of this cable duct, and you can now see we have a specialized dashboard. And for example, we can now click down on the alerts itself. It's quite easy, so I do not really need training on the software to understand also the geospatial context. And what's also new in the M.App Enterprise 2021 release is I can now call also workflows. And I think if you have watched our presentations of IMGS or us, you have already recognized that this workflow is really a powerful application, so they can easily create user interfaces. And in this case, we want to schedule, for example, next maintenance. As there's an alert, we have to send that out to the system. So the person who has received the information do not have to change the system. They can directly create this job inside of the same dashboard. And as soon as they click on save, the people in the field will be notified about the change. So from this perspective, I have now finished my job to have this immediate response to it. So I can go back to my dashboard, and let's say there's a request coming in from a road construction. With the 2021 release of M.App Enterprise, we have also made the 3D experience inside of our application much more better. So as you can see, I'm still using the same technology. I'm still in the browser client itself. And now I want, for example, to define on the construction site if my truck or my crane or the element of my construction will fit beneath of the bridge. And one of the new features of the 2021 release is you can now easily just integrate, for example, point cloud information, digital elevation models, and all of that, or also real 3D building information inside of this feature analysis view. So in this case, I can now use the technology which is out of the box and make a measurement to find, for example, the height of the bridge. So I can provide the information, okay, it has to be less than 5.6 meters. But of course, I can do all of the measurements within the space. So how long the bridge is, what is the maximum width, and all of that stuff. Again, as you can see on the bottom, I can just type in this information into a very simple form and share it just with a click on save, also with the company doing the whole to the construction site. As I said, we want to make it as easy as possible for our customers to use geospatial information as a reference. So it's not the main technology behind it. Of course, we are still, we do know that more or less the solution itself, it's the main focus. So GIS is stepping one step in the background, but by integrating all of the other information, it can be really powerful for your own users to enlarge their GIS experience. With that, let's summarize a little bit. So from our perspective, the main requirements are the identification if there's a need of action. So I do not have to take a look of billions of record sets coming in from sensors or also from satellites. In the end, the system should already tell me about what could be a potential item where action is needed. But of course, in the end, always the human is defining if there's action necessary or not. With this integration, we can also provide a continuous monitoring by removing the dependency to always do a new data import and always having this near real-time information available. The system will give you alerts and you do not have to watch it by your own. And as you have seen it, with the integrated workflows we provide the inside of the solution, you can also easily connect it to other systems, but also make it much more streamlined inside of the organization if it comes to work order management or any other task-related task to resolve an issue. Kieran already pointed out, from M.App Enterprise perspective, we really want to cover all of the different bases. So what you have seen was just one part out of the entire solution. You have seen the web client of M.App Enterprise. But to enable that, there's a bunch of technology in the background providing all of the capabilities, like the M.App Enterprise Station, providing the different service endpoints for the different clients. Or Lucid Fusion is used for managing the 3D data and the data access there. And what we have also shown in this presentation, we can enlarge it with other technology coming from our Hexagon family, like the Xalt integration platform to talk to sensors. But of course, the same technology would be used by Leica Geosystems or Hexagon Geosystems to connect to their hardware devices. From just from this use case perspective, the conclusion for us is with M.App Enterprise, we can really provide new city insights by our smart monitoring concept. So the first is it's smart and pre-configured solutions. This means you can always expect that there's something already existing, but the real benefit of M.App Enterprise is we can easily adopt it to your requirements. So you're not just buying then a ready-to-go solution, but you always can be ensured that you are fitting it or that can be easily fitted to your special needs in your organization or your city. We also say that it always provides you access to the right information at the right time. And you can also interpret it in that way. We are filtering down on the information they are necessary for you. You do not have to deal with all of it. So the system takes care that you really have only to focus on the items which are important at this point in time. And with the solution, you will have also the full potential of the sensors. So it's not just storing information for historical analytics. We now can also take a real-time action on the different activities into your city. And of course, in the end, that's all the base to support the decision-making process, defining which job has priority to overcome a certain situation or not. As you can see, M.App Enterprise is really getting more foundation also for vertical solutions across the different domains. So about 2 years ago, we have launched a solution called Hexagon Smart Sensors, which is used for doing the innovation, doing the sensors within the different countries, like Bulgaria, South Africa, Tanzania, just to name a few of them. We have now created a solution around the smart monitoring concept, as you have seen it in this presentation right now. There are also applications for the defense space. For example, we have a product called MapX. And I'm already spotting some new information. We are right now working to launch a product taking care about mass transit within the next couple of months. Last but not least, a second demo, more from a technology perspective. You may think how complex it could be to set up such a 3D environment, integrating all of the data. Yes, that's true. And the most problems is with coordinate systems and so on. But just to create such an application itself, it's quite easy. So what I'm now showing is, again, M.App Enterprise 2021, fresh out of my development team. So we are now in the administration environment of M.App Enterprise. We just said we want to see this project out of Austria, which is the city of Frankfurt. With enabled, we want to have a preview of the map, which is in 3D in this case. And now I can define my 3D environment just with an what you see is what you get editor. So every configuration I'm doing on the left-hand side will be immediately visible on the right-hand side. So as you have seen it, we have just created the legend. And now I can do some detail settings. So the administrator already can define, for example, he wants to enlarge the 3D experience. So he can, for example, define a depth of field, so getting blur in the background, make it more realistic. Or he says, I want to do a sunlight or shadow analytics. He can now define, okay, I want to see the effect of the shadow of a certain building in somewhere August 2020. I can pick a time and change it automatically in View itself. And of course, if you have a multinational project, you can also pick the time zone you want to visualize this shadow effect. And that's really just a sneak peek of what the new release is bringing. And with that, I want to thank you very much for the attention and handing it back to Kieran.
Thanks, Markus. Just a question there, and just so people are clear. That last piece, you were in studio, so you were in the configuration side. So you were doing live previews of the maps inside studio.
Yes, correct. So the administrator is seeing how the solution will look like for the end users in the second he's changing it.
Without having to run the app and look out and come back in, and exactly. Yes. Which again is a fantastic improvement for us, because anybody who's making wee changes and jumps out and comes back in, jumps out, comes back in. So being able to see that live preview is really good. No, that's excellent. And when the magic question, Markus, when is the 2021 release?
Unfortunately, it slipped a little bit. So we're now talking about the first week of March. But as you can see, it's more or less on the doorstep already. And we took the time to also improve a little bit from the small items. So my team took up ideas from the community, from Hexagon Geospatial. So I'm really looking forward to share all of the details with you. But of course, you can imagine some new stuff which we still keep for us to have a valid afterwards.
I should be. We won't tell anybody here in Ireland, you know. Don't ask to know. And just on the new version, is this will be using the new Lucid RIA browsers and things like that? Is the clients changing, so there'll be performance improvements and things like that?
So we already integrated Lucid 3 in the last release. But of course, with the new release of M.App Enterprise 2021, we also integrated the new stuff from Lucid 3. To give you one example, with the 2021 release, we also support the visualization of panoramic imagery within the browser environment. So the new feature coming to Lucid 3 in the last release is now also available in the M.App Enterprise 2021 release.
Okay, great. So that's things like those BL that take imagery around a room. You'd be able to view that kind of imagery in the in M.App Enterprise.
Yes, or think about the imagery you know from Google Street View, Media, and all of them. You would be able to combine them with the point cloud, but also with your 3D models, and more or less swap between the different visualizations within seconds.
Oh, okay. So again, if you've one of those cameras that drive down the street and have the imagery at different angles and all that, you can start bringing that kind of data into that kind of street view kind of capability.
And the good stuff is, if you're going to combine it, for example, with point clouds, you would be able to do also measurements within the panoramic imagery, which is not so given, for example, Google Maps. So there are really other new cool features coming up. But as I said, I do not want to spoil too much. We still have something for our release launch.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when the launch comes, we'll make sure to let everybody know. I don't think there's any questions at this point that's come in, unless they have. We're on track on change. We're on time, which is good. If not, I'll kick off the next presentation.